in Ann Arbor, awaiting the Buckeyes, who should arrive here in the next 2 to 3 minutes, we're told, at which point we'll get a quick word, and I mean quick word, with Ryan Day when he gets off the bus. Kellyanne, something you're looking forward to about this weekend when it comes to the game?
I think it's the question leading up to the game is, will Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith play? Ryan Day's been asked that all week. He has been very coy in the last 2 weeks about their availability, but Jeremiah Smith went on his teammate Caleb Downs' podcast and said that he was ready to go against the Wolverines. I know that he wants to play in this one, so Dave, I'm looking to see if that Julian Sayin has his downfield threats against the Wolverines defense. They're missing some guys too in their secondary and Rod Moore, but also just looking at this game and the conditions, man, it's cold here. We've seen some flurries come down. They're expecting some snow tomorrow, and if that's the case, then I'm looking at the defense that's really going to step up against the Wolverines. Yeah,
looking like a winter storm could arrive on the freeway on the way up here. The signs were saying 3 p.m. tomorrow, so that would be like late third quarter-ish. Fourth quarter, we're going to see, because that could definitely impact the game. Carnell Tate, you mentioned that. Now, Jeremiah Smith did go on Caleb Downs' podcast, said, I'm good to go on Saturday. We expect to see him. This Carnell Tate thing has been really, really weird. And we're going to play Sleuth, and you guys are joining us on YouTube Live. Feel free in the background to see if you see Carnell Tate walk. Now,
please let us know.
Ryan will be asked about this. That's one of the keys to this game. 4 straight losses. Something interesting, though. The Buckeyes chose to fly up here. That is unheard of. We go back to the Woody Hayes days. This was a bus trip. It was a bus trip always. It's not this year. And Ryan's broken a couple traditions. Almost get the sense that he's trying to try something different to kickstart his team. And they're trying to make this a very ordinary week.
I was going to say, Dave, and Ryan Day had talked about that this week, that they're trying to keep the routine, especially for the players. And I had talked to Captain Sonny Styles about that, and he appreciates it. Look, they understand what's at stake. They understand what this game is, what it means to everybody in Columbus, in the state of Ohio. But they're not trying to get too high or too low. Even when the guys were talking at the Woody this Wednesday, they were very stoic, very disciplined in their emotion. On Wednesday, Ryan Day was very locked in. He was very business-oriented. A little looser than he was last year is what he's appeared to been all week, but he emphasized that they wanted to keep the routine, which involves flying. And he was asked about the band tradition, how they held it on the bye week, and again, less distraction. Something had to change looking at the last 4 years, but he really emphasized the same structure this week.
Yeah, what Kellyanne is mentioning there, normally they do a band directing, and the quarterback quite often or captain would direct the band, and Julian Sayin directed the Ohio State marching band, but they did that during the bye week about a month ago. That's normally reserved for Michigan week. So Ryan has really tried to make this a normal week, but his words still tell you it's not. And clearly he knows it better than anyone after 4 straight losses. He's felt that emotional stress of it. But his words, they're still hyping it as a game. They understand this is a bigger game than all the rest combined.
And Dave, I want to ask you too, because you were at Ryan's press conference on Tuesday, and you and I were chit-chatting back in the sports office. Last year, he seemed almost white-knuckling the press conference just because he knew, again, what was at stake. It seemed like a little bit, I'm not going to speak for Ryan Day, but maybe it was affected him mentally. You know what I mean? But this year, maybe because of the national championship, right? He brought a ring back to the Columbus, that he's strictly business, but he also seemed a little bit looser.
Yeah, okay, so everything I'm about to say is my opinion. I want to make that clear because I have not spoken to Ryan directly. I agree. I thought he was more laid back. I think last year you saw Ryan Day in the back of his mind wonder if he was coaching for his job. I really think that was out there in his mind. And it turns out he wasn't, because they went on that historic run and won it all. I think you're seeing a Ryan Day now that has the weight lifted. Win or lose tomorrow, he will not be coaching for his job. And I know someone in the comments right now is saying he should be. No, he shouldn't. All right, he just won the national championship. This game matters a ton. Don't get me wrong. I grew up here.
And I agree with Dave. I'm a Clevelander, okay? So if you're going to come for Dave in the comments, come for me too, because I agree with Dave.
No. So he's not coaching for his job. So I think he feels that weight lifted. Yeah. But I'm telling you, I'm going to ask him this if I get a quick word with him. I'm going to ask Ryan how he sleeps tonight. And it is a very subtle question, but complex as well, because I think once it gets closer here, he's going to get amped up. Yes. But earlier in this week, I agree with you. He seemed more mellow than he has been in years past getting ready for the game.
And the guys, like I said, one thing just really stuck out to me is just their discipline. And again, they understand what's at stake. They want a pair of gold pants this senior class, especially a guy like Sonny Styles. He's an Ohio guy, Austin Sareveld. They understand, they want the gold pants. They know what's at stake, but they're treating this as a business trip.
Yeah, for sure. The Buckeyes ranked first in the nation against number 15 Michigan. The Wolverines come into this 9-2. Ohio State 11-0. We know the Buckeyes are in the playoffs, but last year Michigan had one thing to play for, and that was spoiler. And I was up here in Ann Arbor on Monday for Sharon Moore's news conference, and he said, hey, last year we had nothing to play for, basically besides ruining the season of our rival. It was. He said, this year, if we win the playoff, we think, or win the game, we think we're in the playoff. So there is an element here that Michigan, now, I think Ohio State is emotionally desperate, but from a stake standpoint, Michigan actually has way more at stake tomorrow than the Buckeyes.
Yeah, if Michigan upsets the number one team, the undefeated team in the nation, they're in. They're in. So these are extra motivated Wolverines, but both of these sides have motivation, right? Like you said, emotionally for Ohio State, for pride, that's what they're playing for, because they will be in the postseason, they will be in the playoff, and for them too, the Big Ten championship. Because Dave, this is what we're going to talk about in the Fever 2 scenario. If they lose to Michigan, they won't make the Big Ten championship.
There is one. You're correct. You're correct. And if they win. Yes.
I know what he's gonna say right now. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was saying Purdue would have to beat Indiana.
And we'll find out tonight.
Yes. We assume that the Hoosiers are going to take care of Purdue. Yes. So what's wild is if the Buckeyes lost this game, the only team they could face in the Big Ten title game through that crazy scenario is Michigan. It would be a rematch next week. The tiebreakers are wonky. We're not going to get into it because it's not going to happen. Win and you're in, and the Buckeyes would face the Indiana Hoosiers next week, no matter what, in the Big Ten title game. So we're awaiting here at the team hotel, and I hear police sirens. So either crime is breaking out in the streets of Ann Arbor or the Ohio State team escort is on the way here. So Ryan Day and the Buckeyes are going to be pulling in here to the team hotel. By the way, I always say team hotel. I've had a couple of people ask me. I never give the name of it for security reasons, and that's why we're filming at a generic backdrop here and no signage, just because I know people sometimes say, Dave, why don't you tell us where they stay? Security thing, we're not going to tell you where they stay. All right, the sirens are here, so Kellyanne, I need you know what Carnell Tate looks like.
Oh, yeah, I got you. 17, right? Isn't that his number?
Well, he's not going to be wearing 17 when he walks off the bus, but we know what he looks like. So
I think I might see some 17
all right,
here, though.
let's go ahead and step off. Let's step off to the side. Our photographer, Mike Jones, is going to shoot some live pictures here, and then we're going to have Ryan Day very quickly. So the way this normally works, the Buckeyes arrive about this time every single road game, sometime between 5:45 and 6:15 p.m. They get off the bus very, very quickly. Ryan normally does 3 or 4 questions. I'm talking 60 to 90 seconds, and that's all you're going to get on a road game, especially Michigan. So you see the herd moving this way of media members.
Right here.
Yeah, waiting for Ryan and the Buckeyes. It is very, very brisk. We're expecting temperatures tomorrow in the mid-upper 20s. Like I said, chance of heavy, heavy snow. Right now it looks like it's not going to arrive until third or fourth quarter. We're hoping that's the case, but we shall see here. All right, Kellyanne, maybe it was crime because now maybe it actually was a criminal because now here we go. All right, here we see some buses.
And Dave, we talked about that cold weather. That was also talked about in the Woody, and the guys are excited. They're like, hey, a lot of us on the team are from Ohio. We know how to play in the cold. And they referenced that Tennessee game last year in the first round of the playoffs. Man, if you remember, it was bitterly cold at Ohio Stadium. So they are ready. They are excited to play in the cold. It could be some offensive line weather, as Austin Cervell talked about, if the snow comes down, and they're excited for this opportunity. For those of you just joining us live here on YouTube, on the WSYX YouTube channel, we're watching the Ohio State Buckeyes roll in live to the team hotel here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, ahead of tomorrow's showdown with 15th ranked Michigan. Interestingly enough, there's a Wolverines fan here. You can see to your left. You guys can't see it because you guys are watching the team come in on the buses, but some fans made their way here. All right, I'm going to start pushing my way to the front of the media scrum here so we can make sure we get a quick word with Ryan Day when he gets off the bus. Here we go. The Ohio State Buckeyes have officially arrived and hit the curb. The bus has hit the curb. If you heard that noise live on YouTube. Dave, I might go take a walk and see if I can see Carnell Tate and do some real-time reporting for you guys. We see Matt Patricia. We see his silhouette and his pencil here in the front. Here we go. Ryan Day, the head coach of the Buckeyes, is going to step off to the side here so we can get a quick word with him. Live on the WSYX YouTube channel.
Ryan, are Jeremiah and Carnell here? Are they good to go?
They are on the trip and looking for a good night of preparation. We just flew in. It was a great flight, and looking forward to having great preparation tonight. We'll continue to do that all the way to kickoff. But
Coach,
they're here and excited.
How do you think your team prepared for this test?
Well, very similar to how we have all year. A little extra focus, just a different look in their eye this week, and so I want to continue that tonight, and then wake up in the morning with great energy and go get a win. I know it's early. I know it's an early lights out for you on these noon games. How do you guys actually sleep on a night like this before a game like this? Well, it's funny. That's why you try to get sleep early in the week because it's a little bit harder for a game like this for sure. But we'll do the same routine and make sure you have a great meal and do bed check and get them to bed early.
You talk about playing with emotion, but not letting emotion play with you. How do you slowly let that balance out here as you ramp up and get closer to kickoff?
Well, you just keep talking to the guys about it, have a plan when they get on the field and what that comes with, and just been talking about it every day, all week, about what that looks like and the focus that needs to happen in this game, and we all have to do our job. And that's really what it comes down to. In any type of mission, everybody has a job they have to do, and they have to execute it when they get on the field.
Right.
So, that's been it, and that's going to continue to be the message all the way to kickoff.
You feel like you have a good handle on what kind of weather conditions you're going to face, or you just have to kind of roll with the punches tomorrow?
Yeah, I think kind of like this. Maybe some snow later in the game, but no, it's the same for both teams, and can't wait for it.
You've got feet on the ground now inside the state of Michigan. What is it like to be here and the excitement as we approach this?
There's a good bounce in everybody's step right now. So, we'll just focus on tonight, having a good meal, and keeping the guys locked in. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ryan. That's Ryan Day, the head coach of the Buckeyes, as his top-ranked OSU team getting ready to take on 15th-ranked Michigan Wolverines tomorrow in the 121st playing of the game. I will say this, all right? I have been to dozens, if not more than 100 of these. That is about as chill as Ryan Day has ever seen the night before the Maize and Blue, Kelly. And now you were off there. He told us, he said, he smiled when asked about Carnell and
Yes.
Jeremiah Smith. He said, they made the trip, but
Yes.
he was very coy outside of that.
So I will say, I'm also going to put that on my X account. I was there for that one right off the gate that he was asked that, and he said they made the trip. So I did see Jeremiah Smith. I have video of him that I will put on my X account as well, and tag our station. Look out for that. I could not see Carnell, but I believe head coach Ryan Day that he made the trek. One thing I do also want to point out, though, when looking at the Buckeyes' injuries in their secondary, nickel Lorenzo Salas Jr., he was injured against Rutgers. Ryan Day was asked if he was going to play, and they were going to take him day to day looking at his practice. He also made the trek. He just got off this bus here closest to us as well.
It's interesting because, as I said, I've been going to these games since, 2007, but doing these road games since 2015, every single game. Ryan normally does 2, maybe 3 questions that last about 30 to 45 seconds. I thought tonight he might do a quick thanks, guys, and walk off.
Yeah.
He stuck around for about 5 or 6 questions for 2 to 3 minutes. By his standards, I promise you, that was a long chat with Ryan Day outside the bus. Again, speaks to the fact that you and I believe he seems way more calm this year than years past.
And I will say, he may seem more calm, and the guys, they were very locked in. They just were no smiles. Like I said, it's the same kind of demeanor they had at the Woody. They're just locked in, stoic, just almost emotionless. These guys are ready to play tomorrow.
Well, 25 years ago, I went to journalism school for the hopes to be on television. But you know what? Being on YouTube is the next best thing. This is very 2025.
I was just about to say this is very 2025.
Yeah, so we didn't have a broadcast tonight on ABC6. We will have shows later tonight. Join us for more here from the Team Hotel. We're ready for it, guys. It is time for the 121st playing of the game. For Kellyanne Stitz, I'm Dave Holmes for the YouTube version of the Football Fever. Have a great night.